I see everything that you are. I always have. Don't be afraid. You have so much pain in you. So much rage. That you can't contain it. You and I are the same. So, who's the monster?
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome to our bullshit. Thanks. What I'm doing is one of the key things that we're going to be talking about tonight, which is trying to act while signing at the same time. And what I have proven conclusively is that it's a lot fucking harder than it looks. Welcome to the Periodic Table of Awesome. That is unfortunately all the Auslan I know. Anyone else? Anyone got any?
No, you stole my.
No, thank you. That's it.
You stole my bullshit.
And
I do know that you just.
Oh, and I think this is Hungary.
I believe so. Yes.
This is me cheering.
I was very impressed that hello is literally just hello. You know, I was like, good. I'm totally down with that. Hi, welcome to the show, and welcome to this very interesting episode all about the new show on Disney Plus. But it's not actually that new. Echo.
Don't know. None of that. No audio jokes at all can be held at any point during this. And we're Googling just Echo TV because you might get a few different results that are not a Marvel television show called Echo. You might get a few Christian conservative news channels or
really
other things.
Oh no.
Yeah. Just be a little bit judicious.
Echo Chamber TV?
Yes. Exactly. Thank you. That's a good one.
I must admit, when I tried to put the word echo into our tags on Twitch here, no, didn't like them.
Yeah.
Echo is a no-no tag. And I was like, I wonder what that's about.
Yeah, the dirty word.
Let's not go down that particular rabbit hole, shall we? We shall stick very firmly in the lane of the Marvel, not even a TV series. It has been codified as a mini series.
So it's technically a spotlight, whatever that means.
Yeah. Marvel Spotlight. Maybe it's kind of like, what was the Werewolf by Night one? Marvel Spotlight.
That had a different name again. That was like a special presentation. So it's like they've got these things and they're like, we don't know what the fuck it is. Give it a new name.
Yeah, but is that not very much like the publishing end of Marvel Comics where they're just like, I don't know if this is going to work. What is it? 3-issue limited run. You know?
What are we calling it? Spotlight.
Yeah, expanded short story from the back of the Thor annual 1984, which didn't feature Thor. It's like... They're quite common. They do that. Like, I feel like there's a big green tick somewhere at Marvel where they're like, approved. Content says yes.
Do about something about a character with one. Cool. Prove. Off you go.
Sure.
You can't do any damage.
Eh,
It's always my favorite thing about Neil Gaiman when he was working for DC. Like they said to him, "What do you want? You can have anything you want." He said, "I want to work on Black Orchid." I went, "What's Black Orchid?" No, Black Orchid. Yeah, we don't have anything called Black Orchid. So yeah. Anyway,
I hope that went
totally
better for
different.
you. Yeah. What are you talking about here? We're talking about the Marvel sort of
Sorry.
thing, adjacent to the Hawkeye / Daredevil / Defenders / oh, it's getting muddier and muddier as we go. But it does feature Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes. And Charlie Cox, briefly. I mean, I wouldn't even call that a spoiler because, like, it's pretty well up front.
Yeah. Does it
Or
though?
have I just accidentally fucked it up and did I go straight to spoiler territory straight away?
Well, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I mean, yeah, but it is a bit of a spoiler. But then comparatively, I don't know. What do you want him to
It
say?
was
about
in
that?
some of the commercials.
Right.
Okay. I'm not going to say what a spoiler is these days. Some people are so sensitive.
So true. Right. So
I'm going to use that one in the future, I think. Oh, come on. Stop being so sensitive about spoilers. What
I'm
even
scared.
what do you even mean these days?
Yeah. What do you mean these days? What are you talking about that like that? Why would you say a thing like that? Anyway, so where are we at with our Echo? How do we feel coming into this?
Look, I enjoyed the character in what I think of as the Kate Bishop series.
Proper Hawkeye.
Yes.
I can't say that I was like super excited, to like, I wasn't like, oh my God, Echo's coming out soon. But I did remember kind of enjoying the character, was a bit curious to where they would go with something like this. Low expectations is always a nice place to be, I find, going into something like this. As you know, I have absolutely zero understanding of the character's backstory and how it relates to the actual comic world, which sometimes can also be helpful for the enjoyability of the series, I find.
To be completely honest, I don't think it actually mattered here at all. There was so little kind of referencing or intentional kind of layering of comic book stuff, and the character hasn't been around that long, so I don't feel like there was a huge amount of expectation. I mean, if anything, perhaps a bit of antipathy. A lot of people kind of going, not a character I'm particularly into. So,
well,
I don't know.
I mean, it's, I only say this because it's interesting that they've added a Native American character into the Marvel universe in this way without having to go down the dreaded M word route, which we can't say yet until it mutants. Mutant is the
right.
Like, I mean,
I was like, what?
Person starts with M, and I'm like,
there's quite a few Native American mutants in the Marvel universe. There just wasn't like Native American superheroes in the Marvel universe. So this one was just kind of like, how can we get a piece of that demographic into everything that we're doing now? How about this one? And sure.
we got Cohorty from What If.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I thought that was a really great sort of starting point.
And little segue, the voice actor that voiced Cohorty is in Echo.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Oh, that's super cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, she plays good name's not Echo. It's not Alaqua either. What's her name in the show?
Maya.
His best friend, the firefighter.
Oh, Bonnie.
Yes, Bonnie.
That's cool. That's really, really cool.
Like,
Because I think there was that thing there for a while where it was like, okay, and I've got to say, I do feel like there's a thing that Marvel has done in the last, I don't know, couple of years, is looking at particular diaspora or demographics and saying, let's tell a story there. Let's find something to do in that place. And we've had, the Chinese American diaspora with Shang-Chi. We've had, and we've had whatever Black Widow was, is this the film for women?
Oh no. Women TM.
Yes. This is the woman's film. And then we get a whole bunch of other ones that, I feel like they did Black Panther and went, that worked so well.
Yeah.
Let's find a way to try and tell stories that extend on other cultures and hopefully let people into other cultures. So there's a part of me that feels like this was perhaps always on the cards somewhere along the line. But I guess the question is, did it work?
I enjoyed the series. Like, it was short and sweet, but I didn't find it boring or dull. I thought the first episode was a bit jarring with all of the back and forth and crossing over, trying to rehash, where we've saw Maya before this series and try to make it feel cohesive and in context. Was a bit messy, but once we got past that and we got to learn about the other characters in her life and the people that she knows and what's like going on now, I liked the little story. I had a good time.
I think it has that thing of being it felt very much like elements of the Netflix series, like that kind of very grounded, very kind of street level-y kind of story, with some mystical alien sparkly stuff. But it also had some of the elements of the Netflix things that I felt like, are we going to drag things out longer than we have to? And I could totally feel that in another time, in a different studio, this would have been 9 episodes long. And it would have had a really fucking flabby middle. And it would have felt really dragged out, but then had some really great, bits to each episode. So I felt like it was really nice to have it happening at a pace that the story demanded.
Yeah.
Pete, I saw you nodding during the stuff about the first episode.
No. I think the pacing. You're kind of right on that one, because I haven't had like a excellent time in terms of my availability to pay attention to things. And when you guys told me it was only a 5-episode series, I was like, I think I can do that. And it is kind of nice to have a story that is quite personal. And that is allowed to exist in the time that it exists in, instead of trying to add bells and whistles to stretch it out. Like I thought, even though it was still a struggle for me to watch it in my current state, I'd like to see more of that.
Is that because
series being as long as the story demands, as opposed to as long as the antiquated ideas of broadcast slots demand?
Was it difficult to watch because of the commitment to watching it required from it? Because it is like, as I know that Jill had forewarned me prior to me watching this, is like, it is not a dual screener. You will have to pay attention. I was like, okay, fine. And then I was like, oh, I really did have to pay attention to that, because a lot of the subtlety stuff is going to be missed on you if you try to, like, wait, who said what? No one said anything. Oh, shit.
Yeah, a lot of the subtlety, but also a lot of just the dialogue. Like, great swathes of this is fully in American Sign Language. Depending on who's doing the speaking. Sometimes they'll verbalize at the same time, but in a lot of cases they won't. And I had the shitty situation where, for whatever reason, my subtitles weren't working particularly well.
Oh,
Oh,
So it was a very difficult situation where I was like, I'm picking up probably 70% of what's being said and then missing bits. And yeah, that's because I couldn't pedal fast enough to make my internet work. Sorry.
well, you'll have to try harder next time.
Accessibility issue with like the subtitles are working under certain conditions.
Yeah, absolutely.
This
I
seems
did have
like
a moment where I thought this would be super annoying if I was somebody who needed these.
yeah.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, should I just go and find something with hard-coded subs in it? You know, and if, I'm struggling with Disney Plus to do that, and I'm thinking of going and finding another way of watching it, that's not good. But anyway, that's a different thing.
Well, maybe that's a good example of, accessibility for all these things, which is what this series was able to give to us by creating a character that required those things, but also making that character really kick ass in a sense, because there were some really good fight scenes in this show that you made use of a lot of different little bits and pieces that I thought that's cool, because part of the characters makeup is that they have they're missing a leg, and using that in the show was great. It's like, oh well, yep, this person is a brawler, and they're going to use that thing that everyone else would consider a liability as an advantage. It's great.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool the way she used her leg as a weapon, and it like got me doing the metaphysical physics again of like, could I do that with my own leg or would it break? Like, could I fling it back and then smack someone with my foot, or would I break my tarsal or whatever?
Oh, not
Yeah,
the castle.
it had some really cool stuff. I also realized that we haven't given a synopsis for this at all.
Oh my God.
Haven't you? Yeah, sorry. To everybody who's listening and goes, I have no idea what this fucking show is about. I'm very sorry.
Have you practiced all your American Sign Language of the synopsis, Quinny?
No. And
my question is,
don't want to use shit accent.
Yeah. What shit?
No.
What if you give me Mel Brooks from Blazing Saddles? Yeah. Remember, he did play the Indian chief.
Oh God, no.
No.
More I think about it, the idea of attempting
Not even
at this point, a big no from me.
The Kingpin then.
Sorry?
Do it like Kingpin. Like swallow your lines and then like stiletto.
Background music.
Yes, there is background music.
The event of Hawkeye. A girl follows Maya Luke from the streets of New York City back to her hometown of Tomahawk, Oklahoma, as she searches for a way to crush Wilson Fisk's awful crime ring and remake it in home.
Yeah, you know how accurate that is.
I'll give it a what for.
I also like how you got
Definitely.
up close and personal with everyone.
Oh yeah, I was going to get closer to the mic. Sorry about that. Was also me trying to be the Kingpin. I'm just
I have no.
shit, I should have been.
Yeah. As I have actually finally just noticed that the music that I have playing underneath, which goes out in the podcast very well, successfully, and everything's fine, does not come through this stream. So unfortunately, you're missing a little bit of context there. But there was some cool music from the show, which was some Native American singing behind it, which was great. Anyway, listen to the podcast to get the full experience.
Yeah. I'm really annoyed I didn't what on call. I feel like I'm the Kingpin that you get from Wish.
The Kingpin that we have at home.
Yeah.
I call him Mini Pin.
I'm changing my name. I'm now the Quinn-pin.
You should have changed your name. There you go. The Quinn-pin.
Who I am from now on.
All you got to know is you have your Halloween costume ready for the rest of your life.
Oh my God. I'll walk around in a white suit with blood splattered up one side of me.
And just refuse to acknowledge it.
Yeah, totally.
Who's going to play?
A hammer.
Yes.
Who's going to play Daredevil then? Who is the Daredevil? Who is the Matt Murdock to your Kingpin?
You, DIon. Of course.
Oh.
Do you know how much alcohol I'll have to drink to go blind?
No. Answer to your Quinn-pin.
Oh. No, definitely.
We're getting a little bit off topic here.
Offside his name? Wesley or whatever? I know he's dead, but you know.
Oh, yeah. I think it was.
Oh, yes. Well, look, all I'm saying is, like, if I'm going to get back to the Echo series, there was only one thing that I missed with the whole thing about Echo was when we were having a lot of backstory and explanation about how she got to be this enforcer for the Kingpin. I missed that we didn't get to see a tracksuit mafia origin story. Because, bro, they were... bro, they were the best thing about the Hawkeye, bro. It's just throwaway people.
I did enjoy the fact that they at least referenced them. Like the fact that Maya's dad, a couple of times, I was like, hey, he's wearing the fucking tracksuit. Nice. That's it. Nice callback. Nice continuation there.
Yes.
But yes.
Okay.
So it appears that this is getting review bombed. Would it possibly be getting review bombed?
Peter, but why?
It's a female-led.
Could have triggered.
Yeah, a female-led superhero outing that happens to be with a person of color. So of course nobody's going to fucking want to watch it.
Also with disabilities, let's just whack a couple of extra things on there just to make sure that the woke police are sitting there going, oh, it makes me so angry, but I'm not triggered. I'm not triggered because that's only lefties that get triggered, but I'm so angry.
Oh, stop playing into their narrative, Quinny. There's no such thing as wokeness. There's no such thing as triggering. There's just
one of these situations where if you feel like, outside of the extremely obvious misogyny and far-right bullshit that makes somebody see anybody who is not exactly like them and get angry, it, I think, speaks a little bit to maybe the expectations that people have when they watch a superhero thing, as opposed to, the storytelling possibilities that actually exist within that genre. Because what I enjoyed about this wasn't necessarily the superhero stuff, and it wasn't even necessarily the stuff that connected me to the other things that I know about the universe. What I enjoyed about it was the human story, the personal story, the being able to see like a full series, which is not unheard of. I've certainly seen it in the past, but where so many people are actually speaking in ASL, those were the things that I kind of liked about the series, because it was a little bit different to what I'd seen before, and because, it let me kind of connect to a character arc and decide if I, was attached to or liked certain characters. The superhero stuff to me is very secondary to whether I'm enjoying all of that kind of thing. But if you're kind of going into this thinking, oh, but I like Daredevil, and why isn't it Daredevil.
Yeah. Yes. I
It's
like
almost
Daredevil,
like somebody
and I
took
want more
Daredevil
Hawkeye.
away from me when nobody actually has taken Daredevil away from you.
I
Then
think
you're going to
the
start having
really
a problem.
Yeah, the really special thing about a series like this is that it is bringing these stories and showing them to people that might not go out and seek that elsewhere. Because, I mean, we're all quite mature, grown up people that like a broad variety of
Speak
topics.
for
I'm
yourself.
sure we would all like go or and like choose to watch something like that and enjoy a film with that story being told. But to cleverly market a character like that to people that might not go and branch out and experience the world because they love the little superhero hovel. Yeah, hopefully the people that aren't review bombing it are watching it and getting from it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's also nice if you are feeling quite fatigued from the Marvel onslaught, that, you know, these kinds of things that are able to kind of sit outside and feel a little bit standalone don't,
Exactly.
to me, add to that fatigue necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of trouble with Secret Invasion and Loki
Oh,
season
fuck.
2. And after seeing
I
those,
didn't
and I was
finish
like,
either of those.
why are we still making this TV if it's just going to be garbage? So knowing that Echo was coming, and I really had high hopes for it to just be a nice little show, and it was. So yeah,
The worry I had with it was Marvel had pretty troubled development. They'd gone back. They'd had to do quite a lot of reshoots. It hadn't,
Okay.
yeah, it hadn't been running smoothly. So I think a lot of people were very concerned that it was like, oh shit, is this going to be a train wreck? And you know, dropping back and only having 5 episodes, I think people were like, oh fuck, hang on, this is this something that, you know, Marvel is basically burying? So there was a lot of trepidation from people about it. But then after, as you say, after Loki season 2 and Secret Invasion, it's like, well, anything's up. And I actually like Loki season 2 is a fucking mess. I think it's got a really great ending, but it doesn't forgive it being shit for most of the rest of the time. Secret Invasion can't even claim that. So this is a really much like the Marvels was. This is a delightful return to form. This is like, okay, let's just tell a good story.
yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned the superhero-y stuff, because that's actually my biggest problem with it. I thought the magical superpower stuff was probably the least interesting part of the show. I mean, the fact that it was coming from the, you know, the ancestral kind of stuff of those people is great, but the fact that it had to be glowing magical hand wavy superpowers,
Yeah. Like I would have still bought the series if it didn't have the glowing hands at the end. I still would have thought it was a told story, you know, a complete thing, you know, without having to do the hand powers. Like
yeah.
and didn't even need it.
No. And honestly, there are a few times where I was like, this is taking me away from the story that I feel like what it was meant to be telling, which is the story of Maya and revenge. Like,
but everyone has to have a power. That's part of the thing. You've got to have a power. Yeah, he has got a.
Yeah, but
he has the power of love.
Like uncanny accuracy, but like Batman has no superpowers.
His superpower is wealth.
Batman. Damn it.
His superpower is money. You know, there are plenty of like rich villains.
Without
going too
kind of too spoilery about, you know, where we kind of end up going with all of that kind of thing. I do agree. I didn't you know, hate it, but I didn't kind of need it. It did a little bit, though, make me interested to see if they would take this character further, or if she is going to turn up now in some of the ensemble pieces coming up. I do really like the character. Like, I have read kind of mixed feelings on Maya, and you know, how well we kind of connect with her. I loved in Hawkeye and in this, particularly at the beginning, how she just kind of oozes attitude. Just she doesn't even like need to say anything. She just oozes attitude. I liked that this gave her, you know, a real backstory and a real arc, and it actually, even though I was kind of a little bit apathetic, you know, to begin with, it actually made me much more interested in that character, and in potentially seeing more from her. And now I think I might be a little bit sad if this is all we end up getting.
Yeah, it's
I don't think it'll be all we end up getting. I'm pretty sure that we will see her again. Like, I mean, if nothing else, we've got a series of Daredevil coming soon that will have, you know, Wilson Fisk in there. So there is as good a reason as any to reintroduce her into that.
I remember too. Don't worry. This is still part of the Phase 5 TV shows, and this is only the 4th TV bit out of 10 that we're getting so far. Yeah,
Wow.
I know, right?
I've really lost track of all of this stuff.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a kind of like, oh yeah, wait, oh okay. There's still a lot more other things that we're supposed to be getting, which don't have release dates yet. So, you know, like to keep their options open. I think depending on how things go.
Yeah, I would love to see more of the character. Like, I think where she ends up at the end of the series is going to make for a good leaping off point to telling more stories.
And plus, if they can do more like fight scenes between Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Maya, like they did in the opening episode, which was great. That was a great fucking fight scene. It just made me want to see more Daredevil. Which is bad, isn't it?
Look, like, when the most excited I got was when Maddie jumps through the window. I'm like, oh, that's all we get.
Yeah.
But it was just like, it was real nice to see the Daredevil who is at the point where he's like, oh no, I'm very comfortable being Daredevil, and I have the baton and the wire and all that kind of shit.
And a fight choreographer who is comfortable using all of that stuff, but then giving him somebody superpowered enough to go up against. Like, at that stage, you know, Maya isn't fully, you know, superpowered. She's just seriously fucking badass. And that fight, it does have the problem of setting the bar very high early on. Because then the rest of the series, you're just like, let's get back to that. Let's get back to that level of choreography. And well, still good, but not as good.
I mean, I'm just looking forward to, I want to see John Bernthal's Punisher come back in, and he and Matt Murdock beating each other up would be great.
Yeah.
We're getting a bit off track, so I'm getting a bit off track there. Should we do a rating and then a quick clip and then come back and talk any spoilery things? Yes? Yes?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm going to go first then. Fuck it. I'm going to give it a 70. There you go.
Oh.
I just, like, it was hard to connect with. It had a lot of, like, things. Like, I liked what it was doing. It was doing something interesting, but I think it was ultimately flawed by making it all about Kingpin. And I think you nailed it there, Quinny, in the ticker by just going, the most Days of Our Lives return of a character who was quite clearly dead of all time. And I was like, you know what? It could have just been a really good story about Maya going back after that and dealing with issues within her hometown and not having to have a mystical sort of connection and other things. And, you know, maybe taking over from where Wilson Fisk's big hole was. Does that make sense?
Still, you have kids, I can tell.
God. Yeah. Vincent D'Onofrio's big hole. And put it on a t-shirt.
Give me my all.
And I also think it was absolutely criminal that they held her like costume right out to the end, and you don't. It's kind of like the Smallville thing. It's like, here's the costume, not doing anything with it.
Yes.
Oh man, does she even like need a costume? Does she really have a
No.
costume in the comic? Like,
No.
I don't know. I don't even know that
this
is she a comic character?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I
No,
never
she
knew.
was created by David Mack and Jimmy Palmiotti. Like,
Wow.
I
Can't say
yeah.
no to the Mac.
yeah. And shout out to David Mack, who, when we posted Final, gave it the big thumbs up for using his artwork.
Yeah.
He was a lovely guy. We met him a
He
long time
still is a
ago.
lovely guy. He's a lovely
Yeah,
guy. No.
It's been 20 years since we've met him.
people change.
Exactly. He may be a terrible person now.
Oh,
Oh
God.
my god. All right, I'm trying to think of what I'm gonna rate this show. I think my safe score at the moment is 80 because like I didn't hate it, but I liked the show. I enjoyed learning more about Maya. I liked seeing where she came from. You know, what her life was like before we met her in Hawkeye. It was nice to have a little self-contained thing. The fights were great, but I'm like, do we have to rely on having a known character to like build the series around in somebody like Kingpin to get people to watch it? So that's kind of disappointing. But, you know, we're getting there.
I mean, I agree. I've actually never liked Kingpin as a character. I don't find him to be a particularly engaging villain. I wasn't at all impressed when he appeared again and became a major part of what was happening. But I do hesitate to kind of downrate this series on the basis of Mediocre Man. Because I feel like you could literally lift him out and I still would have got something out of the story and the character development from Maya. But I completely agree with both of you. I wish that Kingpin hadn't had anything to do with it and that we hadn't seen him again. And, he's a boring villain. He's like the avatar of the people who are review bombing this. I mean, there was definitely something to be said by their interaction at the end, or I think what they were attempting to say or achieve by that, which we'll kind of talk about after. Whether or not it was successful, I don't know, but I kind of appreciate if they're going to bring a character like that back, that they have kind of tried to do something a little bit interesting in his, in that major moment of confrontation between them that also kind of shows how she progressed since the same moment in Hawkeye. Having long-windedly said all of that, for me, it's sitting at a 75 because I haven't been in a good headspace to watch it, but given that I'm in a terrible headspace, the fact that I kind of still got stuff out of it and it's kind of increased my interest in the character, despite, not necessarily being perfect storytelling all the way through. And just also that it's nice to see always some positive representation that is being done well, and I always feel like that deserves extra points so that more people can see them, so that the representation continues. But that's how I landed on 75.
A good answer. I agree very much with the representation thing. Seeing clips of premieres and stuff like that where Alaqua is talking to like a little deaf girl and going, yeah, this is for you, or seeing Native American people and seeing the amount of involvement that the Choctaw Nation had in this whole process, the fact that they were, intrinsically involved in telling the whole story, I thought was fucking cool. That kind of attention to detail and desire to make representation and diversity, not lip service, but actually saying, okay, well, if we're going to do a Native American character, let's choose an actual group of people. Let's not make them, generic Indians. Let's choose an actual nation. Let's get them involved. Let's say, we want to help you tell this story. How can we make it better? Can we include your people? Can we include your ways? The power, not the power. What's it called? What's the power? The dance.
Yes. Yeah.
All of that. That was an actual event that they filmed. Like, that they said, can we film amongst you? And they were dancers from all around the place who were using their actual costumes and everything. That kind of stuff is just shit hot to me. I think that's beautiful.
Particularly if they've been appropriately financially compensated for the use of their intellectual property.
One would hope so, but I don't know.
Yes.
One would hope so. I mean, the director is also Native American, and there seems to be some goodwill, certainly, around the series. So,
yeah. Well, don't forget also, speaking of the director being Native American, there's also an Australian connection with Katrina Mackenzie. She is a First Nations Australian who is also a director of this. Yeah, so that's kind of cool, isn't it? We have a direct. Australia has a direct relation to it. Lovely.
I come at it from a slightly different perspective. There's a lot of dislike for D'Onofrio's Kingpin. I actually thought he was a really good foil here because he got to be the person who was saying, I know you're, he got to be the shitty average white man. And you needed somebody who knew her, somebody who had controlled her and thought that, he was going to be in control of her for a long time for her to be able to fight back against that. I don't think another villain could have had quite the same level of emotional kind of oomph to say, no, fuck you. I've already killed you once. I'm happy to kill you again. Or destroy you in a different way. That's my take on it. I also loved the fact that she is given the the lens, the high lens.
the contact lens.
The contact lens, thank you. The contact lens that does this amazing thing, but then makes a choice around that too. And you're like, yeah, these things, like, I can't imagine another villain that would have those levels of attempted control for her to be able to say no to. So if you may well you hate him, but that is the point.
Wow.
And for me, it's an 80. I thought it was very well shot, very well put together. Some wonderfully dislikable characters, like some villains that you're just like, you're a dick, and it's entertaining watching you die.
Yes.
And yeah, some other bits that I was like, wouldn't necessarily have gone that way, but okay.
But it's short, and that's good.
Yes.
Also, there's only one Kingpin, Quinny, and you and I both know that it's Michael Clark Duncan. D'Onofrio's got nothing on Duncan.
It's true. It's so true.
So
let's have
quickly
a clippity-doodle.
Clippity-doodle.
To your final lesson.
Final?
Yes. Well, we'll still have our Sunday evening dinners, but your tutelage has come to an end. You're ready
For what?
to move from the theoretical to the practical. You and I, we are the only ones we can trust. That's your final lesson. You're dismissed.
don't we all love a little bit of coercive control?
Uh,
Just regular coercive control. I should put the spoiler thing up. All right, spoilers are up. There we go. Hit me. Any spoilers you want to talk about?
I mean, it is a major flex to like know and be close to a deaf person from when they are a child and not bother learning sign language. Like that, you know, kind of like you didn't care enough to even learn sign language at the end was a good summary of their relationship.
I love
also the
idea
arrogance.
He would rather spend millions of dollars on technology to allow her to understand him rather than for him to take the time to actually fucking learn.
And that's kind of the good explanation of that Kingpin character, as you were saying. He doesn't do like he has done no work on himself in his entire representation on screen. Like he is not becoming a better person. He's just
no, and I think like that revelation at the end of like her trying to use her powers to change him. This is a character that is never going to change. It just feels like a losing battle.
It is, but it is an interesting thing that what happens if you take away a core trauma or you heal a core trauma from somebody who is driven by trauma. What do they become then? Maybe he'll become interesting.
Oh,
the mayor.
Rare.
Well, the reason he's not interesting is because the character lacks that light and shade. You know, this is one of those kind of very one-note villains that is just evil and nothing. Maybe, you know, taking away what he has used to power that evil while continuing to be evil will create an interesting character. Maybe I'll stop being extremely bored every time he's involved in anything.
Maybe.
Not that I think it's badly performed or anything like that, just as a character, as a villain, he doesn't do it for me.
Which is fair, and it's also interesting because so many people are like, he is the villain that Marvel need, because Marvel has always had a real villain problem. Like,
or do they just have problematic villains?
They're villains. And I was like, is he the answer to everything? I don't think so.
No, he's not. And
threatening and like higher stakes antagonist in the Daredevil series on Netflix than we have seen him now. Like in Hawkeye and in this, it just feels like so low threat now.
Yeah. And I mean, this is part of the thing.
I mean, horrible nightmares watching the first season of Jessica Jones, like completely ruined David Tennant for me. Like I found him to be a terrifying villain. But just, you know, a big guy who does evil things and makes evil orders and is strong, I guess.
This is they need to import the Shadow King out of Legion and put the Shadow King in as a villain, because he is quite literally as a psychic parasite that can inhabit anyone. So they can just plug that villain into any character and go, oh, there was a thrall of the Shadow King, you know, and it doesn't matter. You just
a good way to get out of a lot of plots as well.
Yeah, plug and play, you know.
That's evil because Thrall of the Shadow King. Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, Thrall of the Shadow King. And also like the Shadow King is creepy as fuck. Like, you know, because inside you could just do psychic damage to everyone. It's like a mind flayer. There's crossing the streams.
Yeah. I agree. I think David Tennant was an amazing villain, and yeah, it worked because it was a threat on so many levels. It was physical, but it was also mental, and it was like all of those things. And yeah, then so often
in line with how a sociopath behaves in real life as well. Yeah. You know, somebody who is, you know, charismatic and more what's the word, able to hide what they are, is to me terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And I'm glad that there are no more villains like that, because I'd have to stop watching the shows. I'd have too many nightmares.
Well, we're all just
So good villain, but bad for mental health.
we're all just we're all just passing time until Mephisto is finally announced.
I feel like that's never going to be a thing now.
No.
It's doing it on purpose.
So, who else are they going to bring back? We don't have any good villains. Ultron's been and gone. Kang's finished.
Is he? So many things. Killmonger was a great
Thanos
villain.
is gone.
Yeah.
All those things. Like, where's your next big bad? Dr. Doom. Honestly.
Yeah.
We've got to get Doom in.
The other day, fan cast Mads Mikkelsen. I'm like, fucking sign me up.
It'd be great, and you don't have to show his face, so nobody will forget that he was in Doctor Strange
Mads
already.
is Dr. Doom. Like, give it to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A few close-ups of the eyes and a majority voice work. Fine. He doesn't even have to get dressed up. He's like, yeah, no worries. I don't have to work out. Yeah. I mean,
he can Pedro Pascal it. Like, just have a dude in a suit. He just does the voices.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's about it. We've had Magneto. We've had all the other ex-villains, apart from Mr. Sinister or Dark Beast. And that's just genetic manipulation, so that's fun.
He's of Mr. Sinister at the end of X-Men Orange is Wolverine, was it?
Oh,
yeah, we did. Little diamond sort of thing. Yeah. Pete's just sitting there going, who the fuck are all of these people you're talking about? We're still on a time peak. We've got 8 minutes.
They should bring me on. I mean, I'm actually very excited for them to bring in some more of the X-Men stuff so that they can have a whole new, cavalcade of villains.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
But
Nimrod's a good suggestion.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Nimrod's a good one. Yeah, that's interesting. Or like, hey,
before we do Nimrod.
Yeah, we kind of need that. I mean, like, just do Extinction Agenda, you cowards.
Peter is doing her interested face, and we really very much appreciate it.
We should wrap this meeting up a bit early and give you some of your time back.
DIon is the real villain in this meeting.
It's going to have to get you to go ahead and come in on the weekend to finish this podcast.
Peter's saying this podcast could have been an email.
Could have been a newsletter.
Sometimes when there's like, when we're having a chat about something that's like, yeah, this was fine. Like, it's much more fun to talk about something that we all like, and like creaming our jocks over or absolutely hated. Like, something that's kind of like, oh yeah, that was enjoyable. Like, check it out. It's not quite as fun as this was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Next time, we all have something we can't wait to shit can on this podcast. And
what is it? Because I don't even
Web comes out next month.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to get my teeth sunk into that piece of shit.
It's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time. Oh my God. It's Mad and Morbin time.
Yes, Casper, of course we're reviewing that. It looks like 10 pounds of shit or 5 pan buck.
Come on, I haven't even seen Aquaman 2 yet. Jesus. Give me a minute.
And I look forward to hearing you all have no real strong opinions about that at all.
Yeah.
Because it's the entire the EU ending with a
yeah.
I can't wait to get drunk and talk about it.
But yes, we should do a drunk cinema for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially the same as what he did to make the film. So
what do you mean? Do we all have to get?
There is a lot of drinking of Guinness.
Do we all have to get back in the same room together to record a podcast? I mean, Jesus, that's weird. Now it feels strange.
I think it would be lovely. I'd like to, spend time with you all in an actual room.
Oh,
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. I'll wash my mouth out.
not very COVID safe.
Is there anything about the show, about Echo, that we need to cover, like in terms of spoilery stuff that was good, spoilery stuff that bad? Personally, I thought, and this is just my thing, very deep spoilery. When she gets her glowy hand powers, I was like, eh. When she gave the glowy hand powers to her family, I was like, eh? And I was like, okay, that's fine. I
She
get
didn't give them to her family.
they already had them. I know.
As women in that line, they had them.
Yeah. It just felt so Deus Exy and not well. Like, I don't know. It felt like it needed a little bit more. Oh, and sorry to be really picky, the sequence where they did the ancestor who was in the black and white film.
Oh, that one, yeah. The light horse one.
Yeah. Where it was all being done with silent movie style, with the plates saying what was being said and everything. I was like, okay, that's interesting, and I was really annoyed that they couldn't stick with it. Like, if you're gonna do a bit, but that one felt like it was like, oh, we're gonna do a bit, we're gonna edge off the bit because it's not working.
Did you just say
this is awkward? This is not funny. We can't have gunshots that mean anything if you just go bang on screen. It just everybody go home. Go home. Sorry.
Okay.
I mean, that didn't bother me that much, but I can see in hindsight how that is a little bit bothersome. Yeah, like if you're going to commit to a bit, commit to a bit. I didn't hate the glowy superpower fight bit and her ability to share or awaken or connect with her family members in order to do that. It did feel like just a giant excuse to have a cool fight scene with like kick-ass women, and like every so often it's like, you know what, give me the excuse for that because I wanted to see it.
Sure. At least it wasn't as bad as Secret Invasion fight scene at the end, which was really terrible. And it was a little bit.
I didn't watch past the first episode of Secret Invasion, so I never understand any.
It was a little bit Shazam, like, no, you all have the power too. Kind of like, great.
It's like Thor things where it's kind of like, if you could do this the whole time, why did you not just do it at the beginning?
Because they weren't worthy.
Beginning.
Thanks. That sounds like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Jason McAvoy.
This happening now, even if it is still loaded with the butt whys.
How did everyone feel?
At least the butt why of like, why didn't you do this before?
Quick thing before we go. What did everyone think about the? Oh my God, Wilson Fisk is going to go and run for mayor of New York City. Dun, dun, dun. Did you miss that mid-credit post-sequence thing? Now he's going to have
the idea of he being the next Trump avatar in the Marvel universe.
Yes, I think that's the most interesting thing for that.
Only if they put him in a wig.
It's already a comic storyline, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was part of the Daredevil thing where Wilson Fisk basically becomes mayor and unmasks Matt Murdock as Daredevil. And then proceeds.
Which I think is the storyline for the next season of Daredevil.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's hoping that we get a bit of
one.
She-Hulk back in the Daredevil Born Again, but like won't hold that one close.
I would really love to see more She-Hulk. Unfortunately, Tatiana Maslany's actually said that they blew their budget on that one and they're probably never going to get another one. And I'm very sad about that.
They blew their budget and they couldn't even fork out enough money for the CG. So, I mean, how's that for a hyperbole?
Yeah.
Maybe the budget wasn't high enough.
I
Exactly. When I've got a friend that is working at ILM right now and complaining that she's not getting paid correctly, being denied promotions, they don't want to pay overtime, they give you time in lieu and then they don't want to honor it because it's too much overtime, and It's a real fucking shit mess within these computer graphic companies.
Seize the
I'm
means of
pretty sure
production.
There's
big
too much work and there's
unionisation.
not enough people to do the work. So the deadlines are ridiculous. Yeah.
And the next big union movement we're going to see, I think, is going to be FX workers, VFX workers, and so forth.
Yeah, they work 12-hour days and weekends and they don't get paid their overtime. And then they get told, oh, you can take it time in lieu. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry, that's too much time in lieu. So we don't want to do it.
Jesus, that sounds familiar.
Anyway, industrial relations reform
Anyway.
on the next episode of the Periodic Table of Awesome, which we would love to do all that because, yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's a shit situation. You should go to union.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Complicated factors. But what are we doing next week?
Doing a documentary next week.
It is. It's like tap. It's about a boy. Isn't it?
Well, who?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a documentary called The Boy Who Lived, which is, funnily enough, if you are worried about the connection to Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling and all those things, then you need not worry too much because this is about a person who worked on one of the films, and as far as I'm aware, it actually has very little connection to the Rowling estate at all.
Yeah.
There is no financial.
It has a lot to do with Daniel Radcliffe, but nothing to do with the Rowling estate.
Yes.
Yay.
So it should be interesting. And then, we'll have to start wondering about what the fuck we're going to do for February. I mean, I think we've played our hand a little bit and said what one of them we're doing is.
Well, I'm going
Probably
to...
a bit of Argyle in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to go visit Uncle Argyle. And, it's Morbin time. And I think Peter's way overdue for a selection for us, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Peter's choice.
On Golden Pond 2.
Yeah. They're back for revenge.
We do have the musical Mean Girls film out at the moment, which I have to admit I am curious to see. Not necessarily with huge expectations, but definitely curious to see.
Why are you hurting me so here, Peter?
I have watched the Broadway one in the comfort of my own home, and I won't tell you how unless you DM me. But I now actually have context for the movie, so I'm quite excited to go and see it.
I'm not going to say anything but DM me.
Slide on into the DM.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it because, as we all know about me, I love a good fucking musical. I'm always down for a bit of a sing song. And we'll take a brief moment's silence for Schmigadoon, which has been cancelled and will not be getting a third season.
I mean,
even though all of the music is already written for the third, which blows my
I hope
mind.
they at least released that somewhere.
I watched Timmy's a Wonka last night.
No.
They're musicals and they exist.
Oh, right. They are no. So, do you mean
the Schmigadoon version of the songs?
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Which is difficult without story context, I have to say.
Yeah, probably. But at the same time, I would love it if somebody were to go, oh, well, look, hey, we wrote all of them. Here's the sheet music. If you want to do it, do it. I mean, not holding my breath on that. Oh,
There's
God.
a campaign to save Our Flag Means Death as well. So if anybody wants to go, hopefully they can shop around season 3 to another network. Be nice.
Would be very nice.
Why can't we just get them both together and do Our Flag Means Schmigadoon?
Our Schmiga flag.
We can also shout out to Elskindorga for Dune the musical or Schmigadoon.
Brigadoon.
Yes, I'm sorry. I misread. And we do know that Timothée Chalamet can sing and dance. So,
what? Because Timmy's a Wonka.
Yes. Did you say you've watched Timmy's a Wonka?
Yeah, I said, Timmy's a Wonka. Timmy's a Wonka. Yeah, I did watch that. I was plussed and
really?
also non-plussed.
I've watched it twice and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Fuck, you must have got more out of it than I did. Jesus.
I had a lot of fun with it. I found it indomitably charming.
Really?
Well,
it's no
long weekend
Paddington
coming up.
2. It's no Paddington
I'll
2.
do some watching.
Yes. Maybe we just need to have a big old musical fest again, Pete.
I think maybe we need to just block that one in.
Yes. Right. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Let's go and raid somebody, shall we? Shall we go and raid the barge?
The barge?
Okay.
Yeah, go raid the barge. All right. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not sit here counting zeros in a cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. Deep-powered girl keeps staring at her face, and call Colossus and have him teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys. With martial arts from iron fist and wall, call Dazzler up and teach her all my songs. Oh, I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not cooking up these heroes at my parents' restaurant now. I wanna yell out Avengers assemble, not order up for Ethel. Yeah, we're out of cheeky now. Date Emma Frost and have her read my mind. Or Magdalena, her artifacts I find, and then we catch a symphony. It'll just be her and me. Call Bucky Barnes and arm wrestle for hours.